Thank you all for joining us today, and I'll get extra 5 minutes for the mic, so expect a 10 minutes presentation. I'm Tarek from Appro. Appro is an onboarding platform. The whole story started with the three of us working for a bank here in the region. And while working for the bank, we realized that customer onboarding journey is a very complicated process. There is a lot of manual activities at the back end, a lot of paper trails, and a lot of manual approvals that has to take place. And this makes it a very expensive activity from the bank point of view, but also an extremely unpleasant customer experience because of the turnaround time. While working for the bank, we drew the blueprint for the ultimate onboarding platform, and we presented it internally. Everyone loved it except the CFO. At the time, he told us, guys, I love what you're doing, but it will never make sense if we do this for the volumes we're processing at the bank internally. And this was the spark behind Appro. We left the bank and we decided to do the ultimate onboarding platform and rent it to multiple other banks in the market. We raised funds from SC Ventures. It took us 2 years, and currently we're doing business with 9 banks here in the UAE, and we have signed commercial contracts with $2.5 million of value. So what do we actually do? We help our partner banks with establishing their whole distribution network for their retail banking and enable them with white label solution that will facilitate instant onboarding with zero manual activities and zero paperwork at the back end. It's not about the UI and the UX. It's not about the 4 screens that you're seeing. It's actually about the activities that happen at the back end. We're fulfilling all the regulatory requirements that any bank will have to do before onboarding a new customer, starting by KYC, moving to creditworthiness checks, compliance-related checks, fraud checks, and many others. And to do this, we have to depend on capturing the data from the golden source, different government agencies. And banks can go and establish their network with different government agencies, but it will take the banks 2 years to build the relationships, and they'll spend so much in having the tech stack enabled for all of that. With Appro, you get to all of these integrations in one API, one SDK file. You launch in less than 6 weeks, and you're paying on a CapEx model. Our business model is very simple. You pay per transaction. Our functionalities are all modular. You can select what functionality you're looking for as a bank to complement the existing process, and we're going to be charging you per transaction for that. Our library of APIs here in the UAE is very unique. We have established relationships with multiple government agencies, tier 1 private data providers, and a market of multiple banks, giving us more than 30% access to the UAE market. Appro stands for approvals. We help our banks to get easy approvals. Thank you so much.
Check. Any questions? Questions from the jury?
Quick question. I just want to know, Tarek, because we heard a lot about digital onboarding application, etc. So what is unique about Appro?
So what's unique about Appro is actually the ecosystem. So we're enabling our partner banks to do instant onboarding, giving the golden source data that we're capturing from different golden sources. So the library of APIs that we have, enabling us to capture data points that are pre-verified, unmanipulated, coming from a golden source, which is the government agencies, hence minimizing the back-end effort that any bank will have to do to re-verify or confirm the authenticity of the data provided by the customer.
Check.
I couldn't get the timeline. So, I mean, how long have you been in the market?
So
how is your growth? How many customers? What's your forecast?
We went live in December 2022. We're currently doing business with 9 banks. We have signed commercial contracts for $2.5 million. We're shooting to end the year with $2 million of revenue. That's it.
Thank you.
Who takes responsibility and who takes liability for the KYC?
So ultimately, it's the bank. We are a software provider. The decision-making processes always have to be kept with the bank because that's a regulatory requirement.
So the approval comes still from the bank?
Definitely, it has to come from the bank.
Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Quick question. So right now you're operating in the UAE. What are your plans for beyond the UAE? And then how do you see that sort of rolling out as you're opening up new markets and integrating with different governmental bodies and banks and institutions?
Sure. So mainly our footprint is currently in the UAE, and this is why our focus on the partners was in the UAE. One of the key factors that we have learned in the last year of operation is actually the sales cycle. To sell to a partner banks, it's a 12-month process. And this is why we're now focused on partner banks who have cross-border footprint. So once we are signed up with them in the UAE, we're able to move from the headquarter to the next market. So this is the edge we're looking at. From the library, from the integrations or government partners, we're focused on markets who have already the governmental providing accessibility to the APIs, so we can leverage the same infrastructure.
And how big is the opportunity in UAE? And do you also need any regulatory approvals?
No regulatory approvals required. We have already reached to the regulators and we got a confirmation that this is a software and hence no regulatory requirement because the ultimate decision is taken by the bank. The opportunity of onboarding in the UAE only for the retail segment on an annual basis is $2 billion that are being spent by banks on leads and business generation in addition to development and processing cost.
Can you tell us what this feels like for the end user or for the bank? What does this feel like? Do they ditch their own app, the consumer-facing app, and now they use your app, or what? Is it just something sitting on the side?
Lovely question. No, it is plugged into their existing platform. So it's an SDK for the onboarding part. For banks who does not have a greenfield bank who does not have an app, so then they will only use our platform.
So there's no leakage and there's no spending on marketing from your side. It's just embedded in their app.
It's plugged into their existing ecosystem.
Thank you.
Thank you all.